Admiral Thrawn, I am promoting you to Grand Admiral for your obedient service to the Empire. You will join my inner circle of 12 Grand Admirals who will command all Imperial forces for the glory of the Empire.
Emperor, your faith in me is well placed. How may I serve you next?
You must track down Zarin and destroy his forces once and for all. Grand Admiral Thrawn, do not fail me.
The traitor Zarin cannot run forever. Soon he will be in our grasp.
Here at Endor, all preparations are ready for the rebel attack. Soon, they will realize the full futility of resisting my will. Grand Admiral Thrawn, you must bring your hunt for the renegade Zarin to its final conclusion. Do not fail me now.
Yes, Emperor Palpatine. I have studied Zarin's ways closely. He will not resist the bait that I have laid out for him. Soon he too will meet his end.
Excellent. Once Zarin and the rebels are destroyed, our victory will be complete.
Welcome, Admiral Harkov. We have a matter to discuss. What is the location of your fleet? Now you shall pay for your treachery.
Hello. Hopefully you can hear me. Please let me know if you can hear me and all is well. First time I'm streaming on this new PC, so I don't know if it's working or not properly. Guess I have to wait for the delay now. Okay, good. You can hear me. Well, hello, welcome to my boring development live stream. Hello. That's obviously not the correct starship for what we're doing today, but what we're doing today is weapon rebalance testing. I've already hinted at some of this through little clips I've released and stuff I've said on Discord, but it felt like, why not? Let's just do a bit of live streaming, and I'll continue to work on it, and you can see what's going on. So what we have here is a little scenario. which is basically a kind of a multiplayer setup, if you ask me. We have 2 capital ships, 2 escort capitals, and then screener ships. So we've got lancers on this side, we've got corvettes on this side, either side frigates, and then capital ships. Each side has, well, there's no such thing as infinite in this game, 255 waves of various types of fighters. They all have various orders to engage each other. These ships have orders to screen each other. It's basically just to create a fleet battle situation so I can test out changing the balance of things. If I can all establish a relative baseline balance between fighters, medium ships, heavy ships, and so forth. So that's what I'm doing. I have run into problems. It's not quite working properly. So some of the ships are obeying the new statistics and others are just ignoring it completely. So I'm waiting for some feedback from the engine guy to see if we can fix that or not. But yeah, so at the moment I can't get the frigates to fire in the way I want to with a default profile. If I set it to a specific mission profile, then it works. So it does kind of work. It's just I need to do that now just to test it. But yeah, it's been fun though testing it. I've got such an amazing amount of control now over weapons on each ship that it completely changes the game for me. So yeah, feel free to ask questions or query what I'm doing, or even protest at what I'm doing. I welcome all kinds of feedback and suggestions. So about 2 weeks ago, I released version 0.0.1 of the rebalance, and that was just basically affecting 3 ships, the TIE Fighter, Interceptor and Bomber, and I gave them specific defined roles. I realized that I really needed to visualize the game better. Now this is an early work in progress, but I started off by mapping all the current weapon statistics of the global weapons that we have. There's not that many weapon types available, and we can't add any more. It's hard-coded into the engine, so what we've got is what we've got, and some of these have specialized program behavior as well. So I went about mapping all that, their names, their average speed and power. Then I just started making sure I've documented what each and everything does. So for example, if a power of a weapon is this is a high power laser, so any fighter with a high powered laser does 400 damage, or power over 400. The game obviously treats this a bit differently, so to work that out, value divided by 100 equals hit point damage. So a power of 400 is 4 hit points worth of damage. And that comes back to how hit points are calculated, which is just weird, if you ask me. There's a raw value which then has to be mathed out to give the RU or SPD value, which is basically the hit points of the ship, as far as the game represents hit points and health. But behind the scenes, it's a different raw value, and it's the same for pretty much everything, like maneuverability, rate of fire, speed. Everything has a separate raw value that translates into some other value of in-game, so like meters per second and so forth. Miro is a tool I discovered at work. It's basically a tool for flowcharts and stuff like this. It's you can use it for free. You get 3 boards for free and limited sharing capabilities, but all I need is 1 board. It's massive. I have such a huge board to play with here, so it's going to be plenty for my needs. Anyway, so I realized I needed to actually properly visualize how each ship currently functions within the game. So I've created myself a bit of headache here, because I'm going to have to do all of this, or most of this, to really get a baseline of how everything is, and then change it, and then I can document each change I make, so I can just tweak and fiddle as I need to, rather than just kind of doing it on the fly. So for example, we've got the TIE Fighter here, and I've split it into 4 different sections with its weapons, hit points, systems, and engines. And pretty much every statistic that I'm interested in is here. So working out, for the first time I've had to work out what kind of DPS and alpha strike and speed the actual weapons go, because I've never had to delve into that level before, because I never had that control before, so what was the point? Can I print it to paper? I'm leaving my job and need to go to how to make my... just Google Miro. That's all you need to do. So yeah, I have mapped out some of these fighters so far. So basically all the flyable Imperial ships and most of the flyable Rebel ships. I think I've done most of this anyway. Trying to color code the lasers so it's kind of easy to spot what does what. And then we have a rebalance proposal. So I classify, okay, this is what I want the TIE fighter to be now, and we'll shift its stats about and try to give it a unique flair, unique ability, or something that gives it something more interesting to fly than just objectively choosing a TIE Interceptor, which is objectively better in every way to a TIE fighter. It's got better speed, it's got better weapons, it's got better hull, so why would you fly a TIE fighter if you had the option? This way, I can give both ships two defined separate roles when both have their advantages and disadvantages in those roles, and that would then allow me to say, give you the option of flying different fighters in a mission. So, for example, Battle 1, Mission 2, Red Alert. A lot of people say it's very hard. Yeah, it is. I'm kind of unapologetic about that, but at the moment, all you can do is fly a TIE fighter. It's very hard. You can easily die in it. But what if I give you the ability to fly a TIE Interceptor as well? Okay, that opens the field a bit for you to try and do things in a different way. So what I think I'll do is I'll demonstrate what is actually going on here. So first I need to turn off my Stellaris music. And let's launch the game. Oh, change my shortcut locations. Bear with. Send to desktop, create shortcut. Right, let's try again. Please let me know if the in-game audio is too loud. I am going to turn it down anyway in-game because it's a bit too loud for me and I can't hear myself. So let's just do this. Okay, that's a bit better. Right. So we want Battle 1, Mission 2. Hopefully this is going to work, because I haven't tried this for a while yet, and I've done lots of changes in between. Benefit of new computer. It loads so much quicker. Right. Well, let's try the TIE fighter first and see what we got. Okay, so what we have there is more of a Gatling gun style TIE fighter. I'm going to turn off the cockpit because I want to make it easier for you to see what's going on with the energy. So let me recharge. Oh my god, how fast am I recharging? Yes, that is intentional. Now, if I fire, I can fire indefinitely at maximum recharge. The offset, what's the offset of this? Okay, this weapon has much shorter range than a typical TIE fighter that you're used to, so it's not like 2.5 kilometers anymore, it's actually about 1.5 kilometers at high power. The weapon energy, the power, the damage is much lower to offset the higher fire rate. So actually the overall DPS output of the TIE fighter is now less than vanilla TFTC. It's weird saying vanilla TFTC considering that's built on anyway. So, what possible uses could we have for rapid fire Gatling lasers? Let's see. So I can fire indefinitely, rapid fire, intercept torpedoes. I can also just quickly come in, do some strafing, Now, I've got some extra control now that I haven't had before as well since I did this. And that involves, so I need to think, changing the energy boost, the engine boost, when you change your laser settings. So for the TIE Fighter, it's something like you get an 18 or 12% engine boost per level, or drop, depending on which what you're setting it. So I can now change that percentage, so I can fine-tune what kind of engine boost you get from your laser recharge. So that's something I can play with. I can also play now with energy transfer between shields and lasers, and back vice versa. So I could have a feature where one ship dumps a lot of it straight away, or one that has it a little bit at a time. I can play with stuff there now. So yeah, the other benefit of this TIE Fighter, so you saw how fast the energy recharges. It's enough that it can fire indefinitely, but this slows the speed down, so you're going pretty damn slow. But, see how easily we're defeating torpedoes here. If I go all engines... Okay, so now we're going 131, and we rapidly lose all laser power. That's expected, but if you want to get a bit of burst of speed, fly away from the enemy or get behind them, let's find out. Then we quickly go to rapid fire. Right, he's already dead. Go back to engines. Catch up with these guys. Add some laser power. We're already at high power. And there you go. At mid-power, it does drain still pretty quickly, but when you get to the weaker lasers, they are super weak and very low range, so they're somewhat ineffective. So if you wanted to, you know, just quickly get a burst off, run out of power, go to engines, you got choices. So this is the kind of playstyle I'm trying to encourage more, because most of the time you just set your energy to increase to above, and that's it. You tend to forget about it. At least in my experience. But I want to try and make the gameplay like this more meaningful, that you want to switch between different systems to take advantage of different abilities. So, hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to have a quick look at these comments because I'm a bit behind. Faster laser speed clashes with what we see in the movies and TV shows. Yes, maybe, but I'm thinking more of a gameplay perspective here to make the game more interesting. So I will take creative liberties here and there when it comes to how ships will function, because it's a game. It has to be fun. It has to be balanced. Balance over realism. That's always been my motto. I will try and make it as cinematic and close to how Star Wars feels. I will always try and maintain that vision as best I can, but I also believe in making sure the gameplay is as fun as possible. So feedback I've got so far from this is, because I've got 4 or 5 testers helping me out, most people seem to like the TIE Fighter changes so far. The most common request is that maybe the fire rate's too fast. That's fair enough. I can lower the rate of fire, maybe up its damage just a little, just to compensate. I want to play with the engine speed as well that I've mentioned. So really give the TIE Fighter something, you know, to make it worth flying if you want to fly it. I have buffed its hit points a little. I've buffed it by 3 hit points, I think it is. The TIE Fighter has 9 hit points in vanilla. So I've basically increased its hit points by about 33%. Doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not. That's basically maybe 2 more laser shots you can take, but, you know, it can help. And yeah, if we did do this like the movies, well, everyone dies in one shot, including capital ships sometimes. There is no consistency, really, in Star Wars with starship and fighter combat. It's whatever the plot needs it to be. So sometimes the shields will be effective, and other times they won't be. Yeah. For this, there has to be some, you know, give to realism in order for the gameplay to function. It's like any game with a lightsaber. Obviously, any lightsaber should just, cut straight through someone. But, NPCs have health. You've got to get through their health till it goes to 0. Then maybe they'll get dismembered, so... Anyway, let's have a look at the TIE Interceptor. So his feedback on the Interceptor so far is a bit more mixed, but then I also realised that I had a issue. I swapped the damage around, so the low-powered lasers had more damage than the high-powered ones. Anyway, now that I have engine control, which I haven't done yet, I want to make the Interceptor more reliant on its speed, and the fact that changing its energy levels won't actually affect that speed that much. Or otherwise, I have to think about that. It has still a slightly higher, faster fire rate than the base Interceptor that we had before. It doesn't discharge as quickly. It cannot fire indefinitely either, for the most part. You also noted that the rate of fire is actually slow when it gets to lower powered lasers. That's, again, intentional. The objective here is like, okay, I don't want the Interceptor just to be spewing out loads of DPS. I need to make there a penalty for the extra DPS that it does have. So it has a high alpha strike because it has 4 lasers, and 4 high-powered lasers can, one-shot some craft. So I have to consider that, and then the ability for it to actually fire higher DPS consistently. You can see there, it rapidly discharges. And then once it gets to low-powered lasers, it sort of drops a little bit because the rate of fire has shifted to a slower rate of fire. But it's much less powerful. So it encourages you to intercept targets, come in, hit them, break off, come in, hit them, intercept things, basically. But I've had some mixed feedback on this one. One of the guys said he didn't like it initially, then when he sort of got to understand the new gameplay style, he actually began to really like it. So it makes me wonder how maybe some people will like some changes and others won't, but it will grow on them. I don't know. Let's actually put some extra power in. Laser power in. So recharge is fairly slow. I really should be hitting the Y-wings, but whatever. But here we go. We are flying a TIE Interceptor in this mission, and I'm going to restart because I've gone too far out of sequence. But oh no, that's a TIE fighter. First bug we had with this little new hook was that every time we switched craft, it didn't actually apply the new profile, it just took the profile of the old ship, so when I just switched to a TIE Interceptor, it was just going like the Gatling gun. But that was quickly fixed. Let's speed up time. I love the ability to speed up time. But yeah, as the Interceptor, we can use our speed to basically intercept these Y-wings sooner and try and take them out before they can even launch any torpedoes in the first place. Look at the power I'm applying compared to how the TIE Fighter was, which took a little bit of power. The Interceptor is doing its job of intercepting, but it can't do a sustained engagement. It has to either break off to recharge, whereas the TIE Fighter can just continuously harass you, like what this AI is doing right now. So hopefully this is a good demonstration of what I'm trying to achieve, and yeah, in order to make Reimagined a much more fun and interesting and varied experience with increased replayability, because now you can apply different crafts and approach the mission in different ways. Garrett, technically yes, we can do that. Shush, it's still a bit loud. Can't hear anything. Concourse in-flight music. Thank you. Garrett, we can technically do that. So we already have dual weapon systems. We've got lasers and ions, so we can just swap the ions for a pair of lasers. The problem is linking. So yeah, if I love the idea of being able to swap between two different types of laser systems. The problem is when you link the systems together, it takes the statistics, or at least the rate of fire of the first system, so it completely screws up the second system. And also the fact that you can use them in conjunction. I would rather separate them, so you have to choose one or the other, not use them both at the same time. I think it's okay with ion cannons because that's already established that you can do that, but for gameplay reasons I would want to give you the option to switch between one or the other. But regardless of that, it doesn't work properly because of the linking, and I've been hoping that we can eventually gain control of that, because it's going to affect my ability to currently balance the things like the TIE Defender, the assault gunboat, the Y-wing and the B-wing, because they have lasers and ions. So at the moment I have to maintain the same rate of fire for both systems, which I don't want to do, but yeah. So yeah, hopefully we can have some control over the linking of weapon system, or at least separate their behaviors so they don't just steal the statistics of one or the other. Because, for example, if I gave a second set of systems to this TIE fighter, which has a Gatling cannon, and the ion cannons just fired at normal, then I link them, then the ions would suddenly just go Gatling as well. So, right. I mentioned we did the bomber as well. Now, this was funny because this mission is not designed for a TIE bomber, even a vanilla TIE bomber, and I've technically made the TIE bomber worse. Technically. In terms of its actual maneuverability, I actually made it worse. But this ship is not meant to dogfight, it's not meant to engage at close range. It's meant as a standoff ship. You launch your torpedoes, turn away, or you do a long-range strafing run, but, you know, you're a bomber. You let the fighters do the fighting. So one thing I've done is I have increased the hit points. God, this is loud. Turn everything off. That's better. Right, so, yeah, so I've increased the tank of the TIE bomber so it can actually sustain a bit more punishment. I think it's like 30%, 40%, I can't remember. It does not turn quite as quickly as before. However, it does have very powerful lasers, albeit slow-firing ones. They have the best range of the current TIEs, so the Interceptor did have a better range than the TIE Fighter. I forgot to mention it has like 2 kilometers. The TIE Bomber can potentially hit up to 3 kilometers away with slow-firing, slow-moving lasers, but they're much more powerful, and they're designed so that they can hit capital ships, or at least do more applied damage to capital ships. So I'm doing similar damage to what a TIE Interceptor was doing, but with 2 lasers and a slower rate of fire. So whilst the overall DPS isn't probably that much higher than a TIE Interceptor, the fact that I could probably target this Corvette, hopefully I need to be on high power. Let's see what the actual range is. La 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 la. Turn around. And then see when my lasers go green. He's moving against me, so okay, don't turn green. And there we go. It's a bit shorter than I thought it was. I might have to adjust that. But the idea is if I can just shoot at a distance and break off and not have to get close to the capital ship in order to do any kind of laser damage if I've run out of torpedoes. I am increasing the torpedo bay. So currently in Reimagined missions, almost every single mission I put the double warheads modifier on. So basically it doubles the warhead capacity, which is currently assigned to the ship. I now have control over the warhead capacity weights and everything, so I can put as many missiles or torpedoes or anything as you want. So I'm going to increase the capacity just to make that a standard thing and maybe make some adjustments, depends on the mission. But yeah, there we go. That is the basics of what I've tried to apply here. But flying this thing in this mission is terrible because it's really bad at dogfighting and it's really bad at torpedo interception. So this could be like a challenge mode for you. If I gave you the opportunity to fly within reason, so basically if you're on a Star Destroyer, you should have the ability to fly a fighter, an interceptor, a bomber, maybe an assault gunboat. But if you're going to hyperspace to another region, well, then you can only choose hyperspace capable craft. So yeah, added replayability, different challenges to apply yourself. If the ship is not really designed for that kind of mission, like this one, then yeah, possible challenge mode for you. All in the name of giving you guys more replayability, more fun. Turn this on just a little bit. I don't like sliders like this. I want numbers. Is having a British accent requirement? No, but I'm sure it helps. Useful for voice acting as well. Is there an option to reload torpedoes mission? Yes, there is. There's two methods. You can either the editor. So let me start that again. The mission has to have a reload craft, which is set to reload you upon command. Yeah, that's Shift B, the reload craft. That's mostly used in the classic campaign, in the original TIE Fighter as well. However, X-Wing Alliance allows you to use a hangar system, so you can dock in the hangar and you can reload your warheads or change warheads if you have different options. So this is kind of breaking the game a little, because at the moment it's infinite reloads. So you can cheese a mission quite easily if you have certain warheads available, which is why I've restricted warhead loadout in pretty much every single reimagined mission, because I don't want you cheesing certain things, because it also breaks some of the scripting that I do in some of the missions, so it breaks things. For Classic, it's not that much of an issue, because in Classic you could choose these things anyway, but you couldn't reload infinitely either. So, you know, I care less about that. But I have been hoping that one day we can control that, so there's a limit to how many times you can reload in a hangar. If that's the case, I can then say, okay, well, now I can offer up more options in warhead choices. So there you go. Right, let's have a look at this little fleet battle we're doing then. Yes, it's all have 12 torpedoes as a standard minimum. So things to note, the frigates are ignoring the things, the weapon profiles. The MC-80 over here is actually ignoring most of its... Oh yeah. Oh, now you're not ignoring it. Ah, look at that. Look at that. That is so weird. That hasn't been working all day. Look at that. That is stupid. I love it. Let's have a look at what the other frigates are doing. Brilliant. It's bonkers. Okay, well, it's good to know that it's now working for no apparent reason whatsoever. Alright, I need to, funny as that is, I need to exit to Windows and have a look. Right, I wonder, I've been having such issues with this. So here's the frigate. So the reason they're basically firing like Gatling guns is this: they have a fire ratio of 1. That is the minimum possible number you can have for a rate of fire. So that's basically... I can't actually remember what I had as the original value now. My Discord will tell me. Or not. No, that doesn't help me at all. Okay, well, can I just undo... No, I can't. That's annoying. I have to remember what I did then. Light turbo lasers. So we'll point defense. Okay, let's give point defense. What we got the Lancer frigate as? Lancer frigate fire ratio 8. Let's say 60 for now. Medium turbo lasers. I would say 250. 1 second. 250 should be 1 second. 1 shot per second. I might actually make that. No, that's fine. That's fine. And then this one. We'll say this for now. Okay. Oh, of course. Well, that's annoying. I just renamed my stuff before I came on, so now I have to reload it all. Frigate 2 carriers. Closest. No. 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 Right. Okay. That's better. Modified frigate. We'll do something similar for you. Let's just keep it similar for now, just to consistency. And I can fine tune it later. I did want them to be some differences. So, yeah, at the moment they have the same stats, but that's fine. That's all I need. I really wish I understood why this doesn't work. Maybe, could it be as simple as a space? Let's see. We'll see. Let's have a look. Is 8-bit 255? I don't remember either. I'm not really a programmer, so... And my math GCSE was a D. So go figure. Here I am calculating a brand new balance using a lot of numbers, so... So I've set this mission up so I'm not really attacked most of the time. This is mostly for me to just observe. And occasionally get more. So look at the Lancers. This is what I've actually set the Lancers to. If you remember the video I posted, they're not firing quite as rapidly anymore. They have a wide spread. So look and see if the frigates are behaving as I hope they are. Yep, I would say that's behaving as I want. So that frigate is not something you want to get too close to. Rammed into it. So the Calamari cruiser is still not firing its primary weapons. All it's doing is firing ion cannons. One thing I haven't done with the capital ships yet is change their hit point levels, because I've yet to decide how I want to do that. And basically this fight will just keep going on indefinitely until all capital ships on one side are dead. So... let's have a look here. I would say probably at the moment the Lancers might be a little too effective. However, there are also 3 of them with overlapping fire, which is kind of doing what I want them to do. The more interesting question will be what happens when it's just one of them. can it still do an effective job, or will it just die? One of them took some damage, and is still taking some damage. But another key feature of this is that I want to eliminate, well, not so much eliminate, as make it extremely difficult for you to just take one-on-one a capital ship if you're not in the right type of ship. So if I'm on a TIE fighter, and I start engaging a Star Destroyer or something, okay, I might be able to avoid its fire, but I'm not going to be able to apply enough damage to actually do anything to it. Okay, I could destroy the shield generators, but yeah, then it'll just take forever to kill its hull. But, you know, I don't have control yet of subsystem hit points, so that's next on the cards. So you might notice that the Star Destroyer is just firing long range. Let me restart and I'll show you. Speed things up. Ah, the destroyer isn't firing long range anymore. God damn it. Something's weird. I'm gonna test something out. So, destroyer. Let's bump that up to a city range. You're already at a city range, but you're still not firing. But let's do this to all of your weapons. Need to see. I have to exit the game and reapply settings for this to work. How do I get the external view during a mission? Press the asterisk. No, sorry. Press the / key. I think. You know, I don't know. When I try to describe it, I don't know. It's just muscle memory to me. Yeah, / gives you the external view. Use the asterisk key to go free and move about. Do it again to lock into a position. Okay, so you're obeying the range on the ion cannons. Yeah. Interesting. I always feel like, because earlier the Star Destroyer is working normally, I almost feel like the issues I'm facing is here that there might be too many profiles it's trying to load and it's kind of getting a little gummed up somewhere. And make the modified frigate shoot me. The modified frigates seem to be behaving. It's just weird that only the ion cannons are reaching out this far from that one. Anyway, what I was trying to demonstrate, which is now not working, was that you can have the long-range fire. In fact, shall we look at the video I posted the other day? I think this is still doing what it should be doing. Let me just double check. Nope, that's wrong one. He must be destroyed. I just got the ore value. Okay, so yeah, that is the right one. Alright, let's have a look then. Joseph, you can individually order wingmen to do tasks if you want to. It's just rather fiddly to do. You can just... get the HUD. So here, on the left-hand side, you can see flight commands. I've got different... I can just... Oh, that is the wrong button. Back to main menu 0. So yeah, I can order each craft to do individual things. Or you can just order the whole group to attack one target. First, get rid of this. Okay. There they go. Oh no, the Emperor died! Never mind. So yeah. This, as I've seen in the video, this is a nice cinematic way to make use of the weapons hook. Because all I need to do is give this just a really long range and a high rate of spread. It will barely hit anything. They won't do much damage at all to these other ships. It's just spectacle. It's just get the fuck out of here. Oh, here's another thing we've changed lately. Let's see if this works. Watch for the spin. Hopefully this will work. Oh yeah, I let it catch up to me. I'm going too fast for it. Let's see if it works. Chaff. Oh look! It didn't spin out of control like mad. Yes, we have control over spin. Haha. This was pushed to me by Mags, who has been streaming the mod lately. He was having a lot of difficulty. Not the first person to complain about missile spam and the spin. And I've never liked the spin too much myself, to be honest. And I'm dead. But, yeah, we now have control of the spin. Initially, we knew how to turn it off or on, so it's off for classic. But, it would have been better if we can just control the rate of spin or the severity of the spin. So we can now do this, which with this little bit of code is impact spinning enabled individually now, if we want it to or not. And then these two factors impact how bad the spin actually is. So in this case, I've basically reduced the severity of the spin to 25% of what it normally is. It feels so much better because all you get is a heavy knock, but you can pretty much instantly regain control. But it will knock you off your course, it will knock your aim off, and that's perfect. You can vary this a little, I think. I would say maybe for heavier craft, they just don't spin that much less. And then for a lighter craft like a Z95, or if you manage to survive a hit in a TIE fighter, you will actually spin briefly out of control. That, I think, makes a bit more sense. So, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Back to this problem. Oh yeah, I wanted to have a look at the... because I started considering changes for... Now, ignore most of these numbers because these are actually the TIE Fighter stuff numbers. I just haven't updated them yet, but I have kind of thought out what I want each new craft to be like. So let's have a look. So the X-Wing, I don't want to change the X-Wing all that much. I think it's a good jack-of-all-trades kind of fighter. It can be a bomber, it can be an interceptor, screener, and I think it should just basically be that. Just, you know, tweak the numbers here and there, but otherwise not really change it that much, because I think it's in pretty good position. The Y-Wing. So again, basically turn it into more like how the TIE bomber functions now. So maybe increase its tank a little, longer range weapons, much lower rate of fire, very slow, a weak energy transfer because this has shields, so maybe not so good at transferring its energy across because it's an old fighter. And then the laser ion recharge discharge, well, that's another issue with the linking, but yeah. The A-Wing. We all know how annoying A-Wings can be to fight. They pack a pretty nasty punch because of their maneuverability, they can be quite difficult to deal with, especially if you're in something like a gunboat. I'm not particularly inclined to change its speed or maneuverability in any meaningful way. But I do definitely want to tone it down in terms of firepower. This thing is meant to be a recon and an interceptor, but I see it as basically not as good in terms of firepower. I think maybe it should at most have 4 missiles, if you're lucky, rather than the larger capacity that it currently has. And I think its DPS and basically its weapons should have basically not be that good. It's basically a good harasser and recon kind of craft. But I want to play with that a bit. I don't want to... All these are just concepts right now. There's lots of room for balancing. And when I do this, I throw this to the testers, then I get the feedback, and then we'll see. And then I start tweaking things from there. Because I can only see this from the lens of a developer. I can't see this through the lens of a player anymore. I've lost that perspective. So I need that perspective. So, yeah. Is there a maximum number of lasers the engine will render simultaneously? Technically, probably yes. We've broken that limit. I think the vanilla limit is 256 projectiles. I could be wrong. But I think it's that. So you don't get a lot happening. It might be 512. I really don't remember. In TFTC vanilla, it's 1024 projectiles, which is more than enough to render pretty much anything, even the larger battles on screen. It doesn't need to be more than that. This does shift things a little, so I've doubled that to 2048 projectiles now, and I think that'll be sufficient. But this is also something I now have to consider, is that the number of projectiles can also slow the game down. So, yeah, I have to be mindful of that I don't turn everything into just a bit too over the top. So it could be things will look very different in the future. But anyway, the B-Wing. I want to make the B-Wing pretty nasty, I'll be honest. So it will have probably one of the highest Alpha Striker DPS of any fighter outside of the missile boat, because the missile boat has stupid warhead capacities and a dual warhead. Very heavy tank, very large warhead capacity, very long range, and a good energy transfer rate. I want it to be hard to kill one of these things, and that they are dangerous. They are really dangerous to capital ships. So, yeah, but still fairly slow, average maneuverability, low rate of fire, and then we can tweak the energy discharges here and there. So that's my initial ideas for the 4 main Rebel fighters. So, yeah, the A-Wing can still be annoying, but I think it will just be more toning the annoyingness down a little, but keeping it annoying. If that makes any sense. It really depends, because my changes will do things that will cause unexpected results. I know that. And so, yeah, as I said, it's going to be down to the testers to give me the feedback. If it doesn't work, I'll change it. I'm not going to just railroad something through because that's what I want. I ultimately want this to work as something interesting for gameplay, make it fun for you. So yeah, that's my only goal here. Maybe have more spin if shields are down. Can't control that, unfortunately. All we can control is the speed, and I've closed it now, and the angle. So the relative speed your ship is going when it hits you, and the angle that it hits you is applied on top of the speed modifier. So if it comes at a more oblique angle, then the spin will be more severe. That's all we can control in terms of the spin, and frankly, I'm okay with that. That's all I need. I don't need more than that. So yeah, that's that. I wonder if actually... Let's have a look at how effective the Lancer is now in this last mission of Battle 1. It's just one Lancer. We've already seen how effective 3 Lancers are, so let's see how effective it is in changing this mission up a little. So normally, and we've already seen this in the couple of examples I've posted, that normally you jump in and you basically nuke the Lancer frigate straight away. It might intercept a few torpedoes, but it just cannot sustain that kind of firepower. I still kind of want to maintain that, but I still want it to do something effective. Like, despite being overwhelmed, it still manages to cause some damage, you know? And yeah, another thing I'm probably going to do is not start you off with 200% shields or, yeah, as a standard. That's pretty standard Reimagined, you always start with 200% shields, but I'm probably going to change that back to what it's normally, which is just 100%. Let's see. How effective will it be? That is not firing what it should be firing at. So this is the issue I'm having. Some ships are loading the profiles, others are not. That did not fire as I expected it to. Oh, that's using the... Funny. It's using that experimental weapon type I was trying out, which is why you've got these little yellow blobs. Does the Lulsler fire at me? No. Okay, let's have a quick look at that. Yeah, there's definitely something not working quite right with this whole hook. I feel that it might be too much. And this could be a problem. Stat profiles, weapon profiles. Okay, so it might be trying to load a profile that doesn't exist. Exit windows. This should work. Where's the Lancer frigate? Making the Z95 usable. Yeah, I want to give the Z95 its own little perk. Rubbish as it is. No, just the engine sounds aren't working properly lately. Like the pitch is off. But anyway. Okay, that looks a little more promising. Yeah, there we go. That's what it should be doing. That's firing a lot quicker. You can see it's already reaching a fire. But let's see if it's any more effective. I mean, you saw how quickly it died that time, but I think it's probably going to be the same. Okay. So, that for me is a bit disappointing. But with 3 of them together, they're actually quite effective. So, what I would probably do there is, rather than just buffing it anymore, because in a group it's good, what I could do is one of 2 things. Either I, in a group, nerf them, and just have the individual ship itself be quite badass, or do it the other way around. The group one is the standard, but for this particular mission where I wanted to hurt, I can just buff it a little. Make it fire a bit faster, a bit more accurate, a bit more firepower, so it comes off as a bit more visceral combat, but only for this one mission. That's the level of control I can have now, and that gives me so many possibilities for how to rebalance the game across every single mission. and make some missions which some people complain. Some people have issues with. This one, for example, has a lot of missile spam, has a lot of torpedo spam. It's very hard for some people because of the length of the mission and what you're required to do. I can tweak that now to be a bit more acceptable. So yes, I can give the Harpax and the Osprey, for example, better point defense so that they can actually defend themselves better against the torpedo attack, so that you don't have to be the ones babysitting them the whole time. And there you go. I've just fixed a problematic element of the gameplay. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm not sure what else I can really show you today. I mean, I think I've kind of gone through it. There's nothing really else to showcase that I've done yet. But at least now you've got a good idea. At some point I will actually do a proper short video and post that on YouTube just to explain in more concise detail what's going on. But yeah, hopefully this whole thing will grow. See, we've already got the capital ships here. I haven't put any actual stats here. This needs to be edited. But I have defined their roles. So let's look at the Lancer frigate. As we were saying, top tier anti-starfighter starship in the game. This should be the most terrifying anti-starfighter platform in the game, in my opinion, above anything else, because that is its pure role. So you can already see generally how good it is, but those lasers are actually fairly weak. You can get hit by them several times and it won't do that much damage. It's more about rate of fire, applicable damage, and it's also psychological element. When you get close to that thing and it's firing so rapidly, you get the lasers. I think there's a psychological element to that. It makes it scarier, and that's cool, a response to have. But yeah, it'll be relatively fragile. If it was to fight another ship of a similar weight and similar hit points, it's going to lose because it can't apply proper firepower that the other ship is fighting good. Its weapons are short range, so another capital can just simply outrange it with its heavier guns. And probably relatively fragile in terms of its actual hit points anyway. It's a pretty small ship. Then we've got this Corvette. So it will have an average to good point defense, but unlike the Lancer, it's not that good at it. It will have its weaknesses, and it's fairly weak as well. But it does have a lighter turbo laser, which allows it to make it a good skirmisher. So if I make the Corvette basically behave a bit faster, and good for sort of skirmishing with fighters, some point defense, but also able to apply a bit of long range damage with its light turbo lasers. Not a lot, just enough to be annoying. Then we've got to roll for it. Nebulon B frigate. I imagine it's going to get harder and harder for me to balance things as I try and niche things into roles. It might be some things end up doubling, or just being the same thing but slightly different. So for the Nebulon B and B2, I had to think about, well, how can I separate these two ships in terms of capability? Because they're basically the same. They serve the same purpose. They're basically a light carrier, a command ship, and a kind of medium frigate. They can engage other capitals. They're not particularly powerful. They're not particularly strong, but they're good for like system patrol duties and system defense and things like that. So I don't see this changing too much. I definitely have 3-tier laser system. So it has a point defense system, then light turbo lasers, then medium turbo lasers, and the medium turbo lasers will have the longest range, of course, for sort of engaging with other capitals. The Nebulon B2 is basically, I want to turn it into more of a brawler. So it has more hit points, it has more firepower, it's faster than a normal frigate, so it can close range, and it has slightly better range than the regular frigate. But its point defense is not as good. So it's basically got a lot more punching power, but has to make up for that weakness with its fighter complement to intercept torpedoes. So that's something we can do. It gives the Nebulon B2s like, okay, this is going to punch you in the face, whereas the other one is more like, okay, just keep your distance a bit, And then of course, Star Destroyer and the MC-80. There's not too much real distinction here, except that the Star Destroyer has super heavy turbo laser batteries. I've already kind of mapped out what we got here. So we have super heavy turbo laser. That's the big fuck off guns that they have on the sides. Then the secondary weapons, which are the main other turbo laser batteries, and then we have ion cannons, heavy ion cannons. These things will do insane amounts of damage relative to other ships. So they won't have very good accuracy. So they're only going to be effective in terms of applying firepower at short range for other capitals. At longer range, as I was trying to demonstrate earlier, it's a longer spread, so it spreads its firepower about, so it can do damage, but just to give that kind of bombardment effect. And then secondary ones are just sort of mid-tier, long range, but sort of, you know, standard heavy capital weapons. And then the iron cannons for disabling stuff, but it has pretty dire poor defense as a result. Makes it very vulnerable to bombing attacks, which is why you need support craft around your command ship or your fighter squadrons doing their jobs. So the MC-80 is not as powerful as the ISD. It does not have those super heavy turbo laser batteries, even though I've said that it does because I haven't written this bit yet. Ignore that. That's a copy paste. So it's actually going to have heavy turbo lasers and then sort of medium turbo lasers. So in terms of probably hit points, it's fairly comparable, but in a straight 1-to-1, it would probably lose unless it uses superior range. If it has more guns that can fire at greater range and greater accuracy, it could potentially outrange the destroyer in terms of accurate firepower. Something I can play about with. But there you go. That's how I'm trying to put things into more specific roles, and that makes fleet combat more interesting. It gives you more defined roles for what kind of ships you're expected to face, how they will behave, and also how you will approach perhaps a fleet combat situation in terms of what is the biggest threat to you or your fleet, and vice versa. So just realised I have no music playing. Let's put some music back on. Jason, yes, it's a permission toggle. You have to set it in the editor if they have 100%, 50%, or 200% shields. I find that fairly limiting in some respects because I want to be able to set specific shield percentages or hull percentages. Like if a ship starts off as damaged for some reason, then, you know, just damage its hull and its shields a bit. But I can't do that. All I can do is just modify its actual hit points. So, for example, the Majestic on Battle 7 Mission 3, which is over Coruscant, it has no shields, but it has 100% hull. I'd like to change that a little, so there's this, and the same for the Devastator in the previous mission. It's damage from Battle 7 Mission 1, so again it should apply that damage. Instead, though, I can just have the Devastator just have less firepower. Oh, mirror's being updated, lovely. Well. No, as far as I know, the game treats gravity wells basically if the ship that has an interdictor field is on the field, you can't hyperspace. It has to despawn or leave the region, I think, for you to be allowed to hyperspace. I'm not aware, and I could be very wrong here. Maybe someone else who has equal or better knowledge of me of the mission editor can say. I'm not aware of a toggle where you can just turn off the interdiction. So let's look at the interdictor grappler. Can we give it a status at some point? It says no status about gravity wells. Pretty sure there's no orders to do this either that we're aware of. Yeah, there's nothing there. Maybe it's in one of these unknowns that have yet to be discovered. Who knows? It would be nice to have control of that. It might be something I can poke Jeremy about, because that would also fix an issue I have with Battle 7 Mission 1. I have to structure it so the Harpax doesn't die. But and other missions, but if I can have a point where, okay, the gravity well generators are down, it can open up some gameplay options. Oh, Jason, yes. Pretty sure you can. All I need to do here is... see, at the moment I've got the 200% shield flag apply. I could just say shields 50% charging, and then I start the game and I have 50% shields. But yeah, this is what I do a lot of the time for Reimagined for the player, because when I initially started doing Reimagined, this was the best way at the time I had to give the player a chance against the harder difficulty that I'd kind of imposed on you. So you had twice the warheads, 200% shields. Great, and that's more than enough. And that's basically standard now, that I might as well just make it a standard value rather than having it an additive value. And then that way I can modify it further. Look at my face. Yes, my old face in red. That's because what I've got my lights assigned to. Lots of grey hair. Thank you. Ah yes, the Enterprise D. She is my favourite spaceship. She's beautiful. I actually, on my second monitor, I changed it because it was the Enterprise on both of them. But then I shifted it so on my other screen is this one. And that's from a little video called Star Trek Emissary. It's like someone who basically redid what if they did a new DS9 but with a modern intro, and it's fucking beautiful. Highly recommend you go and watch it. So that's on my second monitor now, while I have this on the primary one, which I'm probably going to have to reapply now. But I can worry about that later. Anyway. Anyway, I think that kind of covers everything now. I could probably jabber on for quite a while, but unfortunately I have to get up pretty damn early tomorrow for some work-related things. But hopefully you have enjoyed my ranting. Wow, there's 30 plus people watching. That's probably the highest number of people who've ever watched me. Thanks. Subscribe, all that bollocks. But thank you very much for joining me. Very much enjoy interacting with you. Very much enjoy answering questions, hearing your feedback. It's a real joy for me to do this for you. I just hope I can finish it all for you one day. I will do my best, because one day I do actually want to move on and make actual games that you can buy from me in the very far future, probably. But yeah, thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully maybe I'll do another live stream soonish, but let's see. So a quick look at the comments before I go. So much to learn, didn't expect so complex a game. Yeah, well, you say that about a lot of things, I think. Mission editing is fairly straightforward if you know what to do. You just plonk down a load of shit. I mean, see, you made me stay now. This mission that I built for testing a fleet battle took me an hour to build, and that was it. But I just have the knowledge to build it. But that's a surface level fleet battle. All it does is a bunch of ships shooting each other. There's no real structure there. It's enough to create a balanced fleet, and that's it. It's a scenario. Most of my missions are a lot more involved than that. So, yeah. But anyway, thank you very much. I gotta go. Thank you very much. Join me for next time, and take care. Fly safe. Good luck. All that.